Welcome to the podcast of the Port Car Merchants Power of series. Today's topic, the power of persuasion. Most people hear the word persuasion and automatically assume it's just a nicer word for manipulation, as if persuasion just means tricking someone into agreement. Convincing guile, subtle arguing, twisting words and out-talking the other party. It isn't. And that's why we chose the power of persuasion as today's topic. Persuasion isn't about changing someone's mind against their will. That is manipulation. The game of chess. The game of chess is manipulation. In chess, a great player will force you into making moves which are bad for you. They'll create circumstances where your actions harm you and benefit them. They leave you no other options. They win, you lose. Persuasion, however, is completely different. Persuasion means helping someone recognize that the concepts you offer them are better for them and far more advantageous than the ones they hold currently. That the truths you're presenting serve their needs better. When you persuade someone, it's not a win-lose. It's a win-win. And here's where most men go wrong. They think people make decisions based on logic. They think that if they just explain the facts clearly enough, everyone will agree. That's false. Clinical research from neuroscience has made this brutally clear. Emotion makes the decision, logic justifies it afterwards. Antonio Damasio's work with patients who had damage to the emotion process centers of their brains showed that even with full logic intact, they could no longer make simple decisions. They could explain all the pros and cons, perfectly rational, but they could not choose. No feeling, no decision. So if you're trying to persuade a woman, a business partner, a friend, and you're leading with facts, you're already behind. You don't need to be logical. You simply need to be more felt. That starts with presence. Your presence carries weight when you speak with conviction. People don't follow your words, they follow your certainty. You can't persuade anyone of anything you do not deeply believe yourself. Persuasive men do not come off as needy. They don't try to win approval. They're not afraid of being disagreed with. They don't ask, "Do you get it?" They say, "This is how it is." And they mean it. Because when you believe something deeply enough, people feel it in your tone, your silence, your posture. That bypasses their analysis. It speaks directly to their intuition. And for most people, especially women, intuition beats argument. So how do you persuade as a man? You present vision. You paint what could be, not just what is. And you describe that future in a way which makes people see themselves inside it. You never fight someone's current ideas directly. You give them new concepts which render their old ones irrelevant. That's what a persuasive man does. He doesn't win with debates. He replaces worldviews. He does that by holding frame, keeping calm, speaking slowly, and making others feel the future he is offering by showing it is safer, stronger, and more right than the world they live in today. You let their own mind do the heavy lifting. If you're trying to lead a woman, this knowledge is vital. Women test ideas emotionally, not analytically. She will remember how you made her feel when you said something far more than she remembers the actual words you used. This is why passive men fail to persuade their partners. They ask instead of state. They defend instead of declare. They justify instead of own. You can't persuade from beneath. You persuade from above. When your presence says, I know what's best for the both of us, and your tone makes her body believe it. She doesn't follow your reasoning, she follows your certainty. When your certainty calms her chaos, she will follow you anywhere. And gentlemen, you present that security, that total belief, by being completely congruent. Your body, your face, your tone, your words, where your feet are pointing, all have to be saying the same thing in total congruence. That's how you generate certainty in others. Now, to master persuasion, you have to master just two things. Your emotional regulation in yourself, because persuasion is impossible when you're rattled, reactive, or chasing someone's approval. And your emotional resonance in others, because people don't follow information. Anybody who's had an argument on the internet will back me up on that. People follow internal shifts. You don't need to change her mind. You need to change how she feels about the idea. That, my friends, is persuasion. This is what we teach at Port Car Merchants. How to build psychological weight, how to speak with calm authority, how to be the kind of man who doesn't need to dominate a conversation, because people lean forward to hear what you're saying next already. You don't need games, you don't need tricks. You need masculine presence, tonal clarity, and the emotional discipline to hold frame under fire. That's persuasion. Come visit us at portcarmerchants.com and never be lied to or cheated on again. That's portcarmerchants.com.